Welcome to English Story Journey. In this video, we will talk about how to learn everything quickly. Students often believe that remembering everything quickly is a gift that only toppers or genius-level people have. But in reality, memory is a trainable skill that improves with the right habits, mindset, and understanding. The student brain is already powerful, flexible, and capable of absorbing massive amounts of information, especially during school and college years. Yet most students are never taught how memory actually works. They are told what to study, what chapters are important, and what questions may come in exams, but they are rarely taught how to study in a way that makes remembering natural and long-lasting. Remembering quickly does not mean cramming late at night or forcing information into the mind under pressure. It means learning in a way that matches how the brain naturally stores, organizes, and recalls information. When students stop fighting their brain and start working with it, remembering becomes easier, faster, and far less stressful, even during exams. The first and most important change students need to make is shifting from rote memorization to meaningful learning. When a student blindly memorizes definitions, formulas, dates, or answers without understanding them, the brain treats that information as temporary and unimportant. Such information may stay long enough to pass an exam, but it usually disappears soon after because it was never deeply processed. However, when a student understands why something works, how it connects to other concepts, and where it is used in real life, the brain creates deeper and stronger memory traces. Understanding builds multiple connections inside the brain, and these connections act like multiple roads leading to the same destination during recall. This is why students who truly understand concepts can remember them even under exam pressure, while rote learners often forget everything when they feel stressed or confused. Attention plays a massive role in how quickly and how well students remember information. Memory begins at the exact moment of focus. If a student is studying while checking their phone, replying to messages, scrolling social media, or worrying about unrelated problems, the brain never fully registers the information. Divided attention leads to weak memory formation. Many students study for long hours but remember very little because their attention is scattered throughout the study session. In contrast, studying with full focus for a shorter time is far more effective than studying for many hours with distractions. Creating a distraction-free study environment, even for small time blocks, can dramatically improve memory speed, understanding, and accuracy. Another powerful factor in student memory is interest and emotion. The brain remembers what it finds interesting, meaningful, or emotionally relevant. This is why students remember movie scenes, song lyrics, sports statistics, or game strategies effortlessly, but struggle to remember textbook content. The difference is not intelligence, it is emotional engagement. Students can deliberately create interest by asking questions while studying, turning topics into challenges, competing with themselves, or linking subjects to their personal goals and future dreams. When a student understands how a topic can help them succeed in exams, careers, or life, the brain automatically flags that information as important and stores it more strongly. Association is one of the strongest tools students can use to remember everything quickly. The brain is designed to remember patterns and connections rather than isolated facts. When new information is linked to something already known, recall becomes much easier. For example, connecting a historical event to a story, a science concept to a daily life example, or a mathematical formula to a visual pattern helps the brain store it efficiently. Students who consciously build associations remember faster because their brain has multiple cues to retrieve the information later. The more meaningful and personal the association, the stronger and more reliable the memory becomes. Visualization is especially effective for students because the brain processes images far faster than words. Turning abstract concepts into mental pictures helps information stick for a long time. A student does not need artistic talent to use visualization. Simple, exaggerated, funny, or even strange images work best. For instance, imagining numbers as characters, chemical reactions as fights or dances, or biological processes as animated scenes can transform boring information into memorable experiences. The brain treats vivid imagination almost like real experience, which is why visual memory is so powerful. Students who consistently use visualization often surprise themselves by how quickly they can recall complex information during exams. Repetition is necessary for memory, but students often use repetition in the wrong way. Reading notes again and again may feel productive, but it is one of the weakest memory techniques. The brain remembers better when it is forced to retrieve information, not when it passively sees it. Active recall, such as testing yourself, closing the book and explaining concepts out loud, writing answers from memory, or solving questions without looking at solutions, strengthens memory much faster. Even when students struggle during recall, that struggle is actually beneficial. Difficulty signals the brain that this information is important, encouraging it to strengthen the memory so that future recall becomes easier and faster. Spaced repetition is another critical strategy for students who want to remember everything quickly and for a long time. Instead of studying one topic intensely in one day and then forgetting it, students should review information at spaced intervals. Revisiting material after some time has passed, just when forgetting has started, reinforces memory far more effectively than constant repetition in one sitting. This method not only improves retention, but also reduces total study time in the long run. Many successful students unknowingly use spaced repetition by revising topics weekly or monthly, rather than cramming everything at the last moment. Sleep is one of the most underestimated tools for student memory. Many students sacrifice sleep to study more, believing it will help them perform better. In reality, lack of sleep weakens memory, focus, understanding, and decision-making. During sleep, especially deep sleep, the brain consolidates what was learned during the day by organizing and strengthening memories. Without enough sleep, even well-studied information remains fragile and easily forgotten. Students who sleep well often remember more with less study time. Even short naps can help refresh the brain and improve recall after long study sessions. Physical movement also supports memory in ways students rarely realize. Exercise increases blood flow to the brain and releases chemicals that enhance learning and mental clarity. Even simple activities such as stretching, walking, or light exercise between study sessions can improve focus and retention. Studying continuously for many hours without movement leads to mental fatigue and reduced memory. The brain evolved to learn alongside movement, not prolonged sitting. Adding short movement breaks helps students maintain energy, motivation, and memory strength throughout the day. Explaining what you learn is one of the fastest ways to remember it deeply and permanently. When students teach a concept to a friend, a sibling, or even themselves, they are forced to organize their thoughts, simplify ideas, and identify gaps in understanding. This process strengthens memory and highlights weak areas that need revision. If a student can explain a topic clearly in simple words, it means the concept is well understood and firmly remembered. Teaching transforms learning from passive intake to active mastery, which is essential for long-term success. Breaking information into smaller, meaningful chunks also helps students remember quickly. The brain has a limited capacity to hold information at one time. Chunking reduces overload and makes information easier to process and recall. For example, grouping formulas by type, dividing chapters into themes, or breaking long answers into logical points improves memory and exam performance.
Experts remember more not because they store more information, but because they organize it better. Students who learn to recognize patterns and structures remember faster and with far less effort. A student's mindset has a powerful influence on memory performance. Students who constantly say, "I have a bad memory" or "I forget everything," often struggle more, not because their brain is weak, but because their belief reduces effort, confidence, and persistence. Memory improves with practice and correct strategies. The brain is highly adaptable, especially during student years. Replacing negative self-talk with patience and confidence allows students to engage more deeply with learning. When students trust their ability to remember, they naturally pay better attention and apply memory techniques more effectively.